If you have ever felt underestimated by people around you, by colleagues, by those who think they know who you are, this video is for you. Not because you need confidence, not because you need validation, but because underestimation is not random. It follows a pattern, and few characters show how to navigate it better than Elle Woods.
I don't need backups. I'm going to Harvard.
Hello, I'm Mila Halosha. Welcome. Here we make films work for your success, not by escaping into stories, but by examining the systems behind them. We speak about marketing, communication, and influence through cinema, and how stories shape the way people see, choose, and follow. And today we're talking about Elle Woods. Elle Woods is underestimated from the very beginning, but not because she lacks intelligence, not because she lacks discipline. She is underestimated because she doesn't fit the frame. And frames are powerful. They decide what people believe is possible before any evidence is presented. In reality, the person who underestimates us most consistently is often ourselves, not consciously, systemically. We set goals, we imagine futures, and then we quietly disqualify ourselves. Too unrealistic, too ambitious, too unlikely. Elle doesn't do this, not because she is fearless, but because she doesn't register no as a final category. Elle believes her boyfriend Warner is going to propose. Instead, he leaves her. Not because he doesn't like her, but because she doesn't match the status narrative he needs. She is too blonde, not serious enough, not compatible with his future.
If I'm gonna be a senator, well, I need to marry a Jackie, not a Marilyn.
Warner is selecting for a role, and Elle doesn't fit his internal casting brief. Warner's behavior reflects the frame he is operating in, and that frame is exactly what turns against him. A well-built image is powerful, but the most powerful moment is when someone turns out to be more than you expected. If you categorize a person as just beautiful, charming, blonde, your brain settles. But when that same person reveals intelligence, discipline, depth, the category breaks. And when the category breaks, attention sharpens. That's when people remember you. That's when admiration begins. With a different frame, Warner could have seen this as an advantage. This isn't about ambition or status. He saw her in only one dimension and never questioned it. When Elle decides to apply to Harvard Law School, even her parents doubt her, not out of malice, out of perception. They hold a exaggerated image of her, a simplified version shaped by past interactions.
Law school's for people who are boring and ugly and serious. And you, Button, are none of those things.
From their perspective, they're protecting her from failure. Intent matters. People rarely underestimate you because they want you to lose. They underestimate you because they cannot update their mental model of you. When you feel underestimated, the real question isn't what people think, but why they think it. Is it protection, fear, competition, a loss of relevance? In Legally Blonde, we see all of these intentions at play. Understanding intention doesn't excuse behavior, but it gives you strategic clarity. Here is what matters. Elle chooses the path that leads to her goal, but she doesn't abandon herself to get there. She doesn't reject who she is, she refines it. At Harvard, Elle is treated as an anomaly, an accident, someone who doesn't belong. This isn't personal, it's systemic. Every group has an entry criterion, a signal that determines insider versus outsider. For this community, the currency is intellectual performance. Once Elle meets that criterion, the resistance begins to dissolve. Belonging follows contribution, not conformity. Vivian represents something different, not underestimation, but early recognition. She doesn't dismiss Elle, she sees the risk that Elle might win, that Warner's choice wasn't final. This isn't jealousy, it's risk management. During the internship case, Al is faced with a moral decision. She holds information that could help her win the case, but revealing it would destroy someone else's life. She refuses, not because it's strategic, because it violates her internal hierarchy of values. These unshakable pillars, principles that don't bend under pressure, are what separate influence from opportunism. People follow consistency, even when they don't like it.
I still can't believe you didn't tell Callahan the alibi.
It's not my alibi to tell.
I know. And I thought that was very classy of you.
When her professor crosses a line, Al assumes the worst, that her progress was never earned, that it was always about appearance. She almost leaves, and then someone who once doubted her recognizes her capability, not with praise, with expectation. She returns, not to prove herself, but to finish what she started. Elle wins the case using information others dismissed as irrelevant, not despite her identity, because of it. She doesn't succeed by becoming a different kind of lawyer. She succeeds by expanding what lawyer can look like. That's why stories like Legally Blonde stay relevant. They're not about exceptions, they're about systems revealing themselves. Here is how this works outside the film. If you're being underestimated, the instinct is usually one of two extremes, either to work harder in silence or to become someone you're not. Elle does neither. Instead, she works on three levels. She updates the evidence, not herself. People don't update their perception because you explain yourself. They update it when the evidence becomes undeniable. Elle doesn't argue that she belongs at Harvard. She acts in a way that forces a recalculation. You don't need to announce your depth. You need to reveal it through outcome. She refines, doesn't erase. Elle never abandons what makes her recognizable. She refines it. This is crucial. If you erase your identity to gain acceptance, you may get access, but you lose leverage. Refinement compounds, erasure collapses. Ask yourself, what part of me am I trying to hide? Not because it's ineffective, but because it makes others uncomfortable. That's usually not the problem, that's the edge. She chooses environments that reward reality. Some systems will never update their frame of you, not because you failed, but because the system can't absorb deviation. Elle doesn't convince everyone, she outgrows the need to. Belonging doesn't come from universal approval. It comes from entering environments where contribution matters more than expectation. When you stop fighting the wrong room, your energy finally starts working for you. If no one like you has done what you want to do, this doesn't make it impossible. It makes the system incomplete. Someone has to be first. And influence doesn't come from convincing people you belong. It comes from continuing consistently without asking permission. Elle Woods never waits to be believed. She just proceeds. And eventually, the system has no choice but to update. I'll see you in the next video.